and hopefully earn us some interest. There is two main ways of calculating interest. We're doing the one that's called simple interest because it is the easiest, and it's using this formula here, I is equal to PRN. The more accurate way to calculate interest is compound interest, which you will learn about next year. Okay, so we're just going to learn this one, the easier one this year. So this is our formula. I is equal to PRN. That will definitely need to make it to your study sheet. The I stands for interest. Can you not whistle that, please? P stands for principal, but the principal is the amount of money that you're going to put into the bank. All right? R stands for the interest rate. This is all written down here underneath. And N is the number of time periods, which is normally the number of years. That's really nice. All right, so to use the formula, example 1 says using the simple interest formula, calculate the simple interest if the principal is 1,000, so that number there is the P. The interest rate is 5%, so that's the R. And the time is 3 years. That's going to be the N. Okay, so that's your P, R, and N. That's what you need. So always start, please, by writing down the formula. I equals P, R, N. And we just have to sub those numbers in. P was 1,000 times by, because when things are next to each other, remember your algebra, if things are next to each other, it means they're timesed. R is 5. Now there is one extra catch. It's 5%. Now way back at the beginning of the topic, 5%, a percentage is always out of 100, isn't it? So we need to write that as 5 over 100. So any percentage, any interest rate, you always need to put that over 100, okay? And the N is 3 because it was 3 years. And then all we need to do is type that in our calculator. So 1,000 times fraction button, 5 over 100, times that by 3 is $150. So that $1,000 in the bank earned me $150 interest, but it did take 3 years, and that was quite a good interest rate. Let's do it again for part B. Calculate the simple interest earned if the principal, so again it helps to write the letters on top so you know which one's which. The principal is 2,000, that's the P. The interest rate, that's the R, is 12%. The PA there stands for per annum. That means per year, okay? The PA that's after that. And the time, which is the N, is 5 years. So we know we're doing simple interest, so we write the formula down. I equals PRN. The P was 2,000. The R is 12%, but what do I always remember to do with my percentage? Put it over 100, excellent. And the N is 5 years. Please show me the 3 lines, formula, substitution, and answer. That way if you make a mistake somewhere, either with substituting something in wrong or you calculate it wrong, you can still get part of the mark. So 2,000 times 12 over 100. And that's times by 5. So that is $1,200 in interest. Okay, question 2. In this one, there's a little heading there that says, using other time periods. In the question that I was just doing, the ones in question 1, my interest rates was always had the PA for per annum, and my N was always in years. Okay, both of them are basically in years. They're both saying per annum or year. However, in question 2, we're going to make them, they're going to have different units, and they always need to be the same to use them in the formula. So let me go through and write the letters on each of them like we did before. We want the simple interest on $7,000, that's the P, for invested at 6.25%, so that's the R, for 18 months, that's going to be the N. But can you see the different units? Per annum is year and 18 months. I can't have one of them in years and one of them in months. So it's always easier, I think, to change the N into the same unit as whatever the interest rate is in. It's always going to be in years for now. I'm not going to change that one too much, okay? So I always want to change my N to be in years as well. Now, how do I change 18 months into years? How many months are in a year?
It would be a year and 5 months.
A year and 6 months. But what you're actually doing, because there's 12 months in a year, you want to divide that by 12. Now that is 1.5 or 1 year and 6 months, but we can just leave it as a fraction because that makes it really easy to put that into our formula. So let's write that down. I equals PRN. P, the principal. Are you writing this one down, Ashton?
Yeah.
7,000 for the money. The interest rate is 6.25, which we know we always put that over 100. And our N was 18, but we've divided that by 12 to make sure that it was in years as well. Okay, see that little difference? And we type it in our calculator. 7,000 times 6.25 over 100 times by another fraction, 18 over 12. Okay, so that is 656.25 or 25 cents. Let's do that again. How much do you earn in interest if you have invested $20,000, that's the P, at 4.25% per annum, that's your R, for 60 months? That's the N, but again, it's in months. How am I going to change that?
60 over 12.
That's right, I'm just going to change it to be 60 over 12 because there's 12 months in a year. So we put that in our formula. I equals PRN. P was 20,000. R was 4.25, but we always put that over 100. And the 60 months is over 12. And type it in. Make sure you're writing these examples down because these would be good ones to have on your study sheet. Okay, so that's $4,250. Okay, so that's what this whole topic is about, using that simple interest formula over and over and over again. There's one more question here for me to show you. It says, calculate the final balance if Sarah invests some money. She invests $12,000 for 42 months. That's actually the N, but notice that one's in months again. So I'm going to have to go 42 over 12. I'm going to have to change that one. In a bank that pays 3.8% per annum, that one's the R. Change the order slightly to the other ones. Calculate the simple interest earned. Okay, so that's I equals PRN. P was 12,000. R is 3.8 over 100, always over 100. And the N is 42 over 12. And type it in. Okay, so 1,596. You guys typing them in with me? You getting the same things? Great. This question has one extra part to it. Part B says, find the total amount available at the end of the 42 months. So that means I want to know the total amount that's in the bank now. I put $12,000 in there and I earned $1,596 in interest. So I just want to add those together so I've got my total amount. So let's go total equals my starting amount plus the interest that I earned. So keep an eye out for questions that ask for the total because you have to do that extra step. So altogether, that's $13,596 that they will have in the bank. Does that make sense? Mostly?